Good morning, Panam. You're listening to World Radio Paris, and this is the new show, The Earful Tower, and I'm Oliver G.
Earful Tower with Oliver G.
This week we're going to be talking about something a little bit different. We're going to be talking about bilingualism and binationalism. That's to say, people who are half French. And we've got 3 guests in, all of whom are half French and half from somewhere else. So I'll just introduce them. We've got Clovis Casali.
Hello, bonjour.
And we have Gabrielle Chaya.
Hello.
And producer James Vezina, who's actually a guest this week.
Hello, Ollie. It's an honour.
Can I just raise a point, actually? Because why do you bring in your producer as a guest? Does that mean we're only half guests, us two?
Half French, half English, half American, half guests. So this is what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about what I think is quite a fascinating concept and idea of being from 2 different places, 2 different languages, 2 different cultures, and how that affects you as a person. So before we go any further, let's actually meet these 3 international guests. And I think you guys can introduce yourself to one another and where you're from.
Gabrielle, ladies first.
Hey. So I'm half French, half American.
And what does that mean? Your mother is?
Yeah, my mother's American and my dad is French.
My dad's French too.
No.
I know.
My dad's French too.
No.
Okay, so
Yes.
3 guests with 3 French fathers and
What does that mean?
So-
That just means French guys get the girls, I think.
Pretty much. It sounds like. Were you born here?
Yeah. I was born in Paris. You too?
Same here, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we pretty much got the same
So
story.
I try and get a different group of guests. It turns out they're all basically exactly the same. What do you mean there, Chloe?
Actually, no, because I've got brown hair, you've got blonde hair, James, and you've got red hair.
So
we are different after
What a
all.
mix after all.
I
And
love
Clovis,
that.
you're not half American, you're half English.
Yes.
From?
London.
Your mother's from London.
North London.
And what about you, James?
half English too. Mother's from around Birmingham.
Okay, that explains the Birmingham accent.
Not really.
Okay, so let's talk about this idea of having two cultures and 2 languages. Let's start really straight up. Is it something that you're proud of? Are you proud to be French and English? Are you proud to have 2? Or do you?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I wouldn't say. I mean, we don't know what it's like. You know.
Not to be.
Yeah.
But it's
People who are
definitely an
French.
advantage. Like
It's really useful, yeah.
It is really useful.
And this is something we can talk a little bit about what you do, but all of your jobs involve having both these languages. So it must have been some kind of an asset when you were going for the job, I think.
I think I got the job simply because I was bilingual.
So Clovis is a news reporter.
Yeah, I'm a news reporter. I work for France 24, which is a news channel. We've got a channel in English, one in French, one in Arabic. Unfortunately, I don't speak Arabic, but I speak French and English. Meaning when I was just graduating when I was 24, I got the job right away, and it's basically because I was cheap labor. I could do stories in French, in English, and report in both languages, which was pretty useful for them, and for me after all.
And Gabrielle, you're a graphic designer?
Yeah, but I actually got my job because of my good looks, so I don't know if languages were in there.
Our listeners can't obviously check that, but it's true.
No, it's definitely a plus to speak both languages bilingually, like not just fluently, but being able to switch between both. And
what about you, James?
How did I end up here? I guess same thing with the languages. English radio station in Paris comes in useful.
So do you guys meet in Paris? You all live in Paris. Do you guys meet other people who are the same as you, who come from both of these places?
I used to when I was young because I actually went to school in a French-English school.
which school?
L'Hermitage.
L'Hermitage?
Yeah.
No, I don't know that. Because I went to an international school for like middle and high school.
Whereabouts?
Which one?
Balzac?
No.
No, you know it?
I spent 4 days there.
4 days. You hated
4
that
days.
much.
Well, it's a bit far from my house. I had to get the metro.
Is that in the 15th?
No,
That's
it's
in the
17th.
17th.
It's like
yeah.
the boulevard. You know the Hooker Boulevard there?
Yep.
That's where the school is.
Nice.
And there's a shootout outside the Quick. For our listeners who don't know about the Quick is the Belgian equivalent of McDonald's. And there's a shootout there. And I might be a bit older
shootout?
than you. Yeah, I'm 34.
Oh, yeah, I'm 28.
Oh, there you go. But I mean, I was going to go to that school, obviously. But for people who, I mean, when you're Parisian, you're pretty lazy. When you need to travel more than like 20 minutes to get somewhere, you just don't do it. And
See,
that's
I
what
was
happened
10
with that
minutes
school.
walking
Well,
distance.
there you go. I was like the other side of Paris, kind of. So
Yeah.
I just gave up after 4 days.
Okay, hang on. We've gone way off the topic of bilingualism. I'm going to stop
Sorry.
you right there.
Sorry, Oliver.
You've drifted.
We don't get to talk very
You've
often,
drifted.
so.
I can see that the three of them together have gone into reminiscing about the past. But what I want to talk to you about is
the master of ceremonies just taking control
you
back.
brought something interesting up there, Clovis, and that's you said French people are lazy or Parisians are lazy. I want to know if you guys find that you can do this French bashing, or if that's because
The
you're
French
half.
bashing.
That's how you say it in French. I wonder if you find that that's an acceptable thing to do when you're with your other foreign friends, or when you're in America or English, or if you're offended when other people do it. How do you feel about that, Gabby?
Ooh, on the spot. You're gonna switch back and forth depending on who you have in front. So if someone from another country is criticizing France, I'm gonna be like, you can't say that. Like, but then I'm gonna criticize France.
You basically always take the other side.
Yeah, exactly. You always take you play devil's advocate.
And that's the thing. Like when you're half French, half English, say, when you're with English friends, they see you as the French guy.
Completely.
Yeah.
And when
Yeah,
you're with
yeah.
the French people, they see you as the English guy. So you kind of tend to defend the other side. So if you're like with English people and they're bashing France, you'll be like, ouais, c'est pas possible, tu as tort, etc. And if you're with French people bashing England, or English people, which happens very often because apparently English girls tend to have very short skirts in the winter, so that displeases many French girls. And you'll be like, it's okay, it's just cold, it's not cold.
So in the end, it is a question of pride, I think, but just pride
Probably, yeah.
for the other country, really.
Yeah.
It makes me think of something else, actually. Often, and I read this also from someone else, who was saying that when they're in, so say for example, so France or England. So if I'm in England, I'm going to sometimes feel more French, and vice versa. In France, feel more English.
Exactly. Yeah.
Be watching more English TV or listening to more English radio or whatever. I don't know whether you guys can relate to that.
definitely.
No, I definitely relate to that.
But
It's
it
a
ends
strange
up
thing.
Yeah, you start having double personality because you're one person in English and then you're one person in French, and you have to defend different topics.
Who do you prefer? Do you prefer the French version of yourself or the American version? Who would you most want to put on a blind date with somebody?
Whoa.
Or who would you most want to put out there? I mean, what's the best version of yourself? Or is
Clovis,
that,
what's the best version of you?
I don't know. Depends on the moment and time of day and my.
okay, but Clovis, if you had to do a news report
Yeah.
and you wanted to put the best side of you first or forward,
Wow.
which language would you do it in?
I always feel because French is my first language, I feel that it's easier in French because I've got more vocabulary. But maybe because I've got more vocabulary, I think more about the words. Whereas in English is a much more straightforward language, especially when it comes to journalism. In France, we've got all these adjectives, all these ways of describing things. Whereas in England,
You flourish
It's-
things.
Yeah, we don't try and
Make
fancy
it
things
pretty.
up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
straight
Yeah,
to
yeah.
the point,
Hang on, what do you
straight
mean?
to the
In
point.
English we get straight to the point, or French?
Yeah.
Yeah, for
No,
sure.
English gets straight to the point. Yeah.
What about you, James? Do you find that you're a different person? Do you have a preference of who you are in either language?
I just feel like the same person for both because it's something that I've mixed all my life, spending time in England and in France. So I've just learned to go with both.
But I find like the humor's different, and so when you're interacting with the like English people or like your humor is going to be different too. The way you interact with people that's going to speak that same language will be different. Like if I start joking with French people, I'm going to be a little bit more teasing and like and like in American it's more like jokes that are kind of like straight off, like that's what she said, it's a bit more like
And the other thing is, like, I know the way I speak in French and in English are very different. I've got a lot more of a posh accent in English because my mum taught me English. My mum was the only one speaking English to me for many years. Therefore, I have a slightly upper class accent, even though I'm not upper class.
You're
really.
watching BBC from home.
You're watching the BBC. Exactly. Whereas in France, I was brought up here. I was in a multicultural background and so on, and I was just like in a normal state school, and therefore my French is probably, I wouldn't say street because it definitely isn't street, but it's just a bit more normal, let's say.
There isn't so much of a difference anyway between accents in France.
That's true, actually. Whereas in England,
because you have the South. I mean, that's pretty different.
Yeah, but there isn't this whole story, class story
there's a
where
class
Yeah,
system in
that's
the
true.
UK, and you can hear it
Yeah,
from
yeah.
the
Straight
accents.
away.
Yeah.
you know where it comes
If you're just tuning in, you're listening to the Eiffel Tower on World Radio Paris, and you're probably thinking, Who are these three
Who the
English?
hell are these people?
Who are these English
Just
speakers and what are
blabbing
they
on.
talking about? Well, I've got a surprise for you. They're all French.
Ouais, on est français, ouais, ouais.
They could
Well,
just
what?
as easily be speaking French right now because they're all bilingual, all binational. And we're talking about total bilingualism here. This isn't someone who's studied a bit of French at university. These are people who can switch between the languages like they're switching on and off a light switch.
Oliver, est-ce que je peux boire le vin qui est un peu plus cher que the cheap bottle that you just offered us first?
You can take whatever you want. If
Thank
you don't
you.
speak French, he was talking about coffee and definitely not red wine in the studio. What I wanted to talk about in terms of language is something I find pretty interesting is when French people are speaking English, do you find it necessary to use the French pronunciation of a word instead of the English one? For example, do you say, I'm just going to go down to the bakery and buy a croissant?
Yeah, it would be forcing it if we. I mean, everyone's nodding their heads here, so I think I can speak for all of us. But it would be forcing it if we were putting on like the accents to blend in with whatever language we were speaking in.
That's true. The only thing is, like, sometimes I do reports for the English channel, or reports in English, let's say. And when there's a French word, I try not to make it sound too French because it just sounds weird if you're like saying
Hang on, Clovis. I've seen you on France 24 and you go full French when you say a French name.
Well, sometimes. Depends on my mood, really.
But you do for a name, for example.
Yeah, for a name,
The
yeah.
president of France.
Yeah.
What's his name?
Which one? François Hollande.
There you go. See,
Yeah.
so but where
Yeah,
an English
but-
speaker would say,
So I was just doing a report on Thailand and on the death of the king, and there was a big thing about crimes of lèse-majesté. I didn't say the crime de lèse-majesté. Do you know what I mean?
mm-mm. And what about you, Gabby? Do you? I think because in English, if people were to say croissant, restaurants, or Paris, they would people would think that they're snobby.
Yeah, I think actually when in school it was definitely a thing you thought about. Like if you were reading something in front of the class and then in that text there was like a French, like you're reading English and in that text there was a French word.
Do you mean an international school in
Yeah, an
in Paris?
international
So
school.
all the kids are speaking French as well?
Yeah, all the people were bilingual, but you're still, if there was a word that was a different language in it, you would still be like, do I do it with the accent or do I say it full, like, as it is? And you knew that whatever you said it, like, people would laugh, being like, oh, she chose to do it with the accent, or like, oh, she chose to do it the French way, and you'd be like, eh.
But you'd say Paris if you're talking to an American. You would
Oh,
never
yeah.
say it. Yeah.
Yeah, you wouldn't say Paris.
Would you say?
Well, no. No, it
depends on the word, whether you use it a lot.
Yeah, and it
Yeah.
depends on the word and the
Yeah.
mood and...
Because if anyone could get away with saying these kind of words, if anyone could get away with saying the crème de la crème, it'd be you guys. If I were you, I'd totally abuse it.
We mean la crème de la crème. We don't say that.
You don't need, yeah.
No, I have to say, like, I'm an old man now. I've got a girlfriend and everything. But when I was at university, I'd go to clubs like everybody does when you're in freshers year and whatever.
Chess clubs.
Yeah, chess clubs, precisely. And you'd meet people, and to get a phone number, a kiss, or whatever, you'd like go and chat the girl up, and she'd be like, "Where are you from?" And you're like, "I'm from Paris." And she's like, "Really?" And she'd like, and I'd be like, "Yeah, I'm French." She's like, "No, you're not, you liar." So after a while, I try to like put on the French accent when I start talking to the people, just so the person really understands that you are French.
That
It's
sounded
not
German
just-
to me, Clovis.
Yeah, kind of. So I'm pretty good at that.
Formative.
That probably explains why I did not get much phone numbers at university. That or the looks.
What about all three of you guys have quite French-sounding names? How about when you introduce
I'm not
yourself?
sure my name's very French.
When I said all, I was talking to the guests. You were in your producer hat then.
I thought they were half guests.
Yeah, but
So wait a minute. Are you happy with the half guest? Can we get rid of producer James now?
James back on the buttons. No, but even James, the name James sounds different if you say it to a French person to if you say it to an English person.
James.
Yeah, but people
James,
do
sorry,
people do
James.
ask me like sometimes I know that people like look kind of like weirdly like, why James? Why is he trying to pretend he's English or something? And then I go, well, no, it's my mum's English. And they're like, oh, okay, that explains it.
What about you guys with your last names? Do you pronounce them differently for English speaking people?
Well, for me it does because my surname is Casali in English and Ghazali in French. I actually prefer it in English.
How about your first
But
name?
it's Italian, so I mean, like
I've got an Italian name too.
Really?
Yeah, but
No.
I don't put it on.
We have the same dad, James.
Both
I
French
wasn't
dads.
aware.
I hope not.
But no, I play it with the French way though for every time because I find it sounds Fazina sounds a little
Pas
bit
mal,
too. I
pas
don't
mal.
know.
And do you say Clovis or Clovis or?
But in French it's Clovis, and in English it's Clovis.
That's
There's
the,
some
that's the
English
first king
people-
of France, isn't it? Yeah.
Thanks. I didn't know that actually. Nice one.
Fun king, he wasn't...
He was the king. He was the first king.
First king of the Franks.
Yeah, the Franks.
Okay. Well, my notes
A
were
long,
wrong.
long time ago.
What about you? Do you say
Clovis,
Gabriel?
roi des Francs.
Voilà.
By
Gabby?
Gabrielle.
Yeah. I pronounce my name differently when I meet French people to when I meet Australian.
Oliver.
Sometimes I say Olivier as well.
Olivier?
Because so many people
That's just
say,
weird.
Yeah,
no,
that's
but,
just weird.
No, but
I
people
agree.
say it even if we've written my name, they'll read it out and they'll say Olivier. And
How do you say it in Swedish? Because our listeners don't know this, but you speak Swedish.
That's
Very
true.
few people do actually.
I've not
outside
mentioned
of
that
Sweden.
to the listeners yet.
You are Swedish English bilingual.
Well, they say differently there too. So I say Oliver. They say in France it's Oliver, and in Swedish it's Oliver. Oliver. I quite like
That sounds nice.
Melodic.
Yeah.
Oliver.
it. The whole language is very
Very
nice.
Sounds like an
melodious.
elf's name.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we're talking about every week with this show, The Earful Tower. Follow us on Facebook, by the way, facebook.com/The Earful Tower. Every week what we do is we take a different topic in France or in Paris and we just discuss it with the guests. And this week we're doing a phenomenon known as Franglais, Franglais. And that's what I didn't even know what it is. What is it? We're mixing together the two languages.
Yeah, it's basically French and English mashed up to communicate, but you don't even notice you're doing it. It just becomes totally natural.
Is this something that you do? You work in a very multiculti office, don't you,
Yeah.
Gabrielle?
Yeah. But I work it's an American company in Paris, and so half the people are not French. They're either American, Australian, and then the other half is French, and we just speak a mix of both.
So it's just the putting the two languages together. That's Franglais.
Yeah, saying like, oh, I'm going to go to the boulangerie. Tu veux que I bring you back? The whole sentence has half French words, half English words. And you don't even think twice about it.
Is this something you guys are guilty of as well? Guilty? I don't know. Maybe it's a talent.
Yeah, also I think inventing words too. Taking a word and adding er on the end when you can't find the verb in English.
Tell the listeners what you mean.
Who's thinking?
So you mean
Trying to
to make a French word into a
Yeah,
word?
it's not like there's a list of words. It's just when you can't find the word and it just comes out. And yeah, you just go for basically the first one that comes to mind. And so if you're speaking French, you're going to French it up a bit.
It kind of infuriates many French people. They're like, what are you doing? Why are you showing off? There was like this famous singer in the 1990s, which French people will know about, Ophélie Winter, who had a very big song, a very big hit, Dieu m'a donné la foi, God give me faith. Second time I talk about religion within 10 minutes. And basically, she used to mix in interviews French and English, and people used to mock her about it. So I remember when I was a kid and when I used to make Franglais, you just mentioned, Oliver, people would just take the piss out of us. And that kind of maybe
Funny you
built-
say Ophélie Winter. I would have thought of Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Jean-Claude
Whereas,
Van Damme
like,
also.
He's
Kickboxer,
the...
yeah.
But I don't know what they're on
You're
about because
right.
in any case, a lot of French singers end up singing in English. So
And usually not very well.
not very well. So no.
Sometimes what I find weird is if someone's speaking French with me, sometimes it's the English word that they use in the sentence that throws me, that I don't understand. For example, a French person was saying to me the other day, they were speaking French, and in the middle of the sentence they said, fashion, or something like that.
Fashion.
I had no idea.
C'est trop
what
fashion.
yeah, I didn't know what the word was.
That's a slang one. It's like instead of saying it's fashion, they say it's fashion. And it's fashion has become like a slang term to say it's really trendy. And
But
all that.
it's not just that. Even when they're talking about they just be talking about anything, and they'll say a famous American celebrity's name, and I won't understand that part of the
Yeah.
sentence. When they say Mickey Jackson, or something like that, and I say, oh, who's this singer? that you
I've had that one actually. When for a long time I'd heard about the film called Tekken, and I thought it was something to do with the video game that I
Fighting,
played
yeah.
on PlayStation. So Tekken. And until in England someone talked to me about we were going on about the film Taken, and then something just switched after 10 years. I was like, that's what people have been going on about.
And they were wrong because it was a crap film.
What about? Didn't you have a story about Franglais, Gabby, or has that been forgotten?
About Franglais?
In your office with languages?
Oh, but we brought Franglais to the next level, which is you start talking in Franglais but using the accents. Like you'll be, I will go to the boulangerie. And then in English you'll use the French in French you'll use the English accent. So it becomes a whole.
But you're doing this on purpose, or is it just something that's just?
But at first you do it a little on purpose, and then it just
Yeah, she
becomes...
started a sentence. We do that. Us
I
Franco-British. She said, but maybe yes. I mean.
I think there are things like that that give you away also sometimes.
it's true.
So, for example, the that or going when you're in England doesn't really work too well. Or
Oh, no.
You're right, James. What was that?
That was French.
What was that? When do you do that?
just a
sound?
collection of sounds when you're annoyed. But I don't.
For real, I've not heard that one before.
Yeah,
No, for real, Oliver, for real.
Okay,
We are
thanks,
for
guys.
real.
Um,
That's French.
What about if you guys would have children, do you think that you would encourage them to learn both languages? As you guys were, I assume when you brought up, you had one parent speaking one language and the other. Is that how it worked? I don't know. I've never.
No, but it's a good question. Like I always used to go out with. I've been out mostly with English girls, so I always thought maybe if I have kids with her, I'll speak French and she'll speak English. Now I'm going out with a French girl, and I'm like, I'm gonna have to be speaking English. Is that the right example? It's not even my first language. How does that work? So it is a question we keep in mind.
That would be pretty funny if you had a kid who spoke English, who's learned posh English from you that you learned from your mother. It's
Yeah, but there's some lost in translation, or at least lost in the transmission process, I'm sure.
because we probably have I'd imagine a lot of our listeners enter this channel are expats who are maybe in France with the French boyfriend, girlfriend, husband and wife, and are probably thinking about these issues when they have a child. Should they be sharing the languages, or is it better to just stick them with one? Or
Yeah, I think I would definitely... well, I'm going out with a French person, same. But I would definitely be speaking English probably the same way that my mother spoke English to me. She was kind of... When I was little, she made me believe she didn't speak French. So she would only speak English to me. And you know when you're a kid and you go to like a French public school and all the kids are French and you're like, why do I need to speak this other language that none of my friends speak? And so I was like, okay, Mom, I need to teach you French. Like, you're going to have to speak French because I don't want to speak English anymore.
That's hilarious.
I was like, un croissant. And she was like, une croissant. And I was like, damn it, Mom. Like, focus.
How long did she pull that off for?
But I don't know.
18 years.
Yeah, for 18 years, I thought she didn't speak French.
I just had a flashback that I hadn't thought about for years. Is my mum used to pretend that she could speak French when I was a really young kid.
I don't know what's worse.
No, but I just remember she would
But it
just
was
start.
was
She'd go, and I, as a kid,
Food fafa.
yeah, I thought it was fascinating that she could just switch.
Is that what Australian people do? You just diss French people like from miles and miles away?
She's from England, so maybe it's a cross-channel
Oh, God,
kind of
yes,
thing.
I forgot.
Okay, guys, we're coming towards the end of our episode. We're going to do something that we do every.
C'est pas possible.
C'est incroyable.
Non.
C'est passé tellement vite.
You guys have listened to the show before. You know what comes up at the end. We've got our quick fire question round, which is going to be hard with 3 people, but we're just going to go. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, and you guys have to answer without thinking too long. And this is a bit of a different one because it's called Home or Away.
Like the show, Home and Away.
Very good, Clovis.
Nice.
But what we're going to do is home for you guys now is France. You live in France. So you answer home if you'd prefer these categories at home, away if you'd prefer it in England for you two, or America for Gabby. You'll get it as we go along. So first one, you ready? You got to answer quickly. Home or away, cinema for local film.
Home.
Home.
Away.
You prefer, hang on, stop the clock. It's a minute, we just stop the clock.
But
You
les
prefer,
films d'auteur.
Yeah, no, I watched way more because that's one of the things. Is I watched English TV at home because I was in France, so I'd only watch English TV.
We're
I mean,
talking
so-
cinema. We're not talking TV.
So I'd watch English films. I
hang on,
honestly,
Clovis, you can't encourage him to change his answer. We got
Yeah.
1 point for
no.
away. Which, home or away, spend Christmas? With your whole family?
Away.
Away?
Yeah,
American
away.
Christmas? British Christmas?
American
cheat
Christmas.
here, home because I do it the English way in France.
Yeah, he's got.
So in other words, it's the foreign Christmases win out
Cheater.
over France. Listening to local music.
Difficult. French hip hop.
Quick. It's
English
quick. It's
rock.
quick round.
Away,
Clovis.
away, away.
Away.
Yeah, English. Away.
I'll say home just to be different.
You can't say something just to be different. That vote doesn't count. Going shopping.
Away.
America.
Home.
France.
Nah, internet.
Oh wow. It wasn't home or away or internet, but we're gonna eat local food.
Home.
Home.
Away.
What?
Yeah.
Stop the clock. What, James?
Yeah, there's more food in England.
More different
More
types?
More food, but
Yeah,
less
more-
good.
Hey, no,
Apart
it's more
from
varied.
bacon and eggs, what have
It's
the-
more varied. You can get food from everywhere.
Yeah, that's
Excuse
true.
me?
But French food, come on.
Start the clock. Last
Oh.
question. Enjoy hearing the language people are speaking around you.
Home.
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 Okay, that's the first one you all agreed on.
Oh.
And that was, so we can talk about it. Why? Is the French language just better to listen to than the English?
It's because of our dads.
Yeah, it's a father thing.
Father
It's the
issue.
father thing.
Probably. I think there's more playing around as well with the French language.
What do you mean
than,
playing
English.
around like wordplay?
Well, yeah, wordplay, verlan, just ways of you can express yourself. I think better in the French language than English.
It's more subtle.
Mm.
Without even knowing it, James has just given a clue of an upcoming episode, wordplay. So stay tuned for that one. But that marks the end of this episode of the Eiffel Tower. I want to say a big thank you to our 3 international guests. Thanks for coming.
Merci.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us, Ali.
And remember, this is the Eiffel Tower. Follow us on Facebook. That's facebook.com/The Eiffel Tower. We'll have all the shows there. Follow World Radio Paris on Facebook as well. Facebook.com/World Radio Paris. And that's it for us for another week. Thank you.